Astrodoubt and the Quarantine Chronicles was not started intentionally as an art project. It began as a series of drawings that I made for myself and some friends as a very spontaneous response to the pandemic crisis that had just arrived. I created this character, Astrodoubt. They, he, she became the protagonist of this experience, which is basically the experience that most of us had, living in a constrained domesticity and dealing with this fear of the unknown. Are we alone in this apartment? It was one of the first drawings I made. Our apartment has become our universe. So what do we do with that? How do we deal with that? How do we fly? How do we travel? And in our apartment, imagining a larger universe.
The artist whose work grabs my attention is work that gives us new ways to see ourselves and the world around us. How do we understand? How do we negotiate? What is this world that COVID is forcing around us? And Astrodoubt moves through it and is as confused, as challenged, finds it as problematic and disruptive and disturbing. A couple of things that I just like to speak to here in this galaxy wall, a sculptural presence that just fills all these images. This is like an asteroid that's captured all of these images and is propelling itself off into the universe.
I prefer the character to live with a precarious line that keeps changing shape, changing dimension, changing looks, changing what people call styles. The character, until a certain point, was only drawn. There was the desire to escape. The protagonist wanted to escape this two-dimensionality. So the idea of going into, escaping into 3D was perceived by Astrodoubt as a possible freedom and liberation.
In a word, Luca can explore and has an uncanny ability to express and draw graphically as a still image. Great graphic artist, great drawing artist in that medium, but also an ability to understand the movement of color, the movement of the surface of the drawing becomes not only what's on a page, but becomes something that moves across time as a moving image. And I think with an ability that's matched by few other artists, he has found this language and made it something that we can all understand and learn from.
Animation has always been important. I was fascinated by the fact that we could experience not just a drawing in motion, but the space between one drawing and the next. What is that space? It's always been fascinating me, the space between. And that's what makes great animation. More than the drawing itself is the timing, is the editing, is the speed. Astrodoubt is the conjunction of different elements. My return to the comic book narrative, doubt of science, which is what makes us questions about the unknown, the curiosity that leads us. Although the suit makes us think that the character is a real astronaut, but actually the character was someone who was already wearing the astronaut suit to protect themselves from the impending environmental disaster. And when the pandemic arrived, finds themselves completely prepared. And this is unfortunately an image that we experience on the news with the essential workers that had to wear almost this astronaut-like protection suit because we did not know how the virus was being transmitted. What will remain of this COVID time? I want people to have a nice, pleasant memory of this traumatic time, even though we have lived through so many different experiences, and some have suffered much, much more for the loss of their family member or their friends or their peers. Maybe there is a way to, through creativity, through this narrative, but also through the aesthetic possibilities offered by a convergence of different forms of art and graphic design into these other objects.